You know who definitely has talent? It's Philadelphia's #1 hockey beat writer. It is Charlie O'Connor coming to us live from the Wells Fargo Center after that just super entertaining game we watched tonight, Chuck. Before we get into my stuff, what are your thoughts on the game and standout comments from the post-game pressers?
Yeah, it was just a clunker. I mean, this is just a bad game. And the thing about this game that makes it tough to, I guess, isolate is that they're obviously on this run where they've lost a bunch of games in a row. They haven't won a game yet in 2025. So it feels appropriate to kind of ball them all together into one bad run of play. And I don't quite think that's the right way to look at it. And that was the point that John Tortorella made on multiple occasions during his post-game presser. He basically, his quote, which is going to be my quote of the night in my article, is, look, we've been playing some real good hockey. Tonight we sucked. And I think that's the accurate way to look at it, is that, yeah, they've been losing games. Yeah, they're on a losing streak. But I don't think in either one of those Tampa games they played poorly. I thought they outplayed them in both those games. They just didn't get the win. Goaltending, not coming through when you need to in terms of finishing, special teams. You can point out a lot of reasons, but those were games that they played well enough to win. They just didn't win. This was a game where they in no way, shape, or form played well enough to win. They played terribly, really, from the opening faceoff, at the very least, like the third shift of the game. And the rest of the game, they were just plain bad. And I'm not going to bury them for one clunker, even though I suspect a lot of people will be willing to bury them because they've lost a bunch of games in a row. Because this is the first game I've seen in a while where the process was awful. I mean, I just finished writing an article about how the goaltending is the main reason why. I thought Sam Ersson was fine tonight. I don't think he was, like, amazing, but I thought this was a game where, none of those 3 goals I pin on Sam Ersson. None of them. I don't think any of them are weak. You had 2 that were on the rush where you have a guy left wide open in front. On one of them, he gets a rebound, and then the other goal is a 3-on-1. Not going to pin any of those goals on Sam Ersson. This was a game where it was the defense. The defense let the goalie down. The offense didn't show up. The team just didn't show up. They had a bad game. And I'm not going to kill them for it because they haven't had a lot of these kinds of games over the last couple weeks, despite the fact that they've lost a bunch. But this one was ugly. They played terribly.
Well, that's objective Charlie O'Connor coming in with some logic and reason to this one. Now, we've tried to separate it. Like, the way they've lost previously is not kind of a reflection of what happened tonight. But what I'm frustrated with tonight, Chuck, is we have been discussing how long until, like, the dam breaks. Like, okay, skaters playing well, goalies letting them down, but eventually, like, it's going to cave in. Like, you're gonna just be demoralized. You're gonna have some of these games that are clunkers. Do you think this game is more a case of the Stars are a Stanley Cup contender, they're so much better, or this is the beginning of momentum might be trending down?
It's a reasonable question, and it is something that I worry about. I've mentioned this on the show a bunch of times over the last week, that I do worry about the process faltering because of frustration. I will say I asked Morgan Frost that question, and I asked John Tortorella that question after the game, because it's something I'm very interested in. And Frost basically said no, he just thinks they didn't have it on this night. And Tortorella straight up said, because he's the one who said this morning, he said that. He said, one thing I'm very worried about is guys are not getting the results, and eventually the structure falls off because guys just stop believing that they're going to get good results by doing the right things. I asked him, did he think that's what happened in this game? And he straight up said no. He just said, look, I just think we played poorly. I wish I could tell you why we played poorly, but sometimes these kinds of games happen, and until it happens a few games in a row, and I'm speaking now for myself, not Tortorella, I'm not going to worry that that's what's happening because of what I would see as a one-off. Now, if they go out against Anaheim and play terribly in a game where they should be amped, because trust me, the crowd's going to be amped in that one. I can tell you that. There was a lot of people that bought tickets to that game who are going to be real, real loud. And then they go out and they play badly in that game. Then they play badly against Florida on Monday. That's another real tough team, obviously. Then you start wondering, okay, start to roll down the hill in a bad way. Is this now picking up speed and they're starting to lose their structure and what was making them play well overall, despite the fact that the results weren't there? Yeah, then I'll get worried. For now, I'm willing to give them this one And I understand most fans probably won't be because they're looking at the win-loss record and they're saying, why are you cutting them some slack? It's because I really don't think they were playing that bad. This game, they played terribly. If they play terribly on Saturday again and then they play terribly on Monday again, then yeah, I'm going to start thinking maybe the frustration's getting to them. But right now, I'm not quite there. And I wouldn't say I love the answers I got, but I came away from the answers I got to that question when I asked Frost and when I asked Tortorella feeling better that isn't what's going on. At least that's not what happened tonight. Now, depending upon how you're feeling about the Flyers, you might not believe them, but I feel pretty good that I don't think that was what happened tonight. I think this is just a bad game. Teams have bad games sometimes.
Now, Charlie, just how ashamed would Mr. Snider be, however, in tonight's effort?
Oh, he would have been livid. I mean, it is embarrassing in that sense because this is the Ed Snider legacy game. You know, this is obviously something that the Keith Jones, Danny Briere organization, they're trying to make it abundantly clear that they very much respect and appreciate and honor Mr. Snider. That's a big deal to them, which makes it a big deal to the fans because it's like, this is the Ed Snider night and the Flyers completely lay an egg. Now, I don't think there's any correlation here. I don't think this was like, well, let's give the middle finger to Mr. Snider. Like, no.
An egg for Mr. Snider.
They just played poorly, and it happened to be on Ed Snider Legacy game night. That said, I understand why the fans are more angry that it happened on Ed Snider Legacy night. I also suspect that there are a lot of fans who would have been angry regardless. If this was just like, dollar dog night, they would have been equally as mad. It's just they wouldn't have the Ed Snider thing to point to express their disdain. You did it on Mr. Snider's night. Like, you would have been just as mad if they would have done it on, I don't know, Pearl Jam night.
Well, that's a middle finger to Kelly Hinkle.
Yeah, that would offend Kelly just as much. No, it is a classic. Oh, we got something to bury them over. Like, if this was more of a talk radio show than it is.
Well, hey, Bill, what do you think about this?
That would be
555 PHLY.
Yeah, that would be absolutely the topic. Charlie, I thought Matvei Michkov, despite not registering a point in the last game against the Maple Leafs, it was one of his best efforts of the season. Just creating scoring chances, shots on goal, moving in the offensive zone, hustle, all of it. He was everywhere. Tonight, he plays 16 minutes, 2 shots on goal, -3. Is this kind of just part of what we've been talking about? Like, they're trying to get him through this real packed part of the schedule, and some nights he's going to have it, sometimes he's not?
It might be that simple. He was bad tonight, and there haven't been many games where I would say, like, there have been games where he's been invisible, where I would say that he didn't pop. This game, he was bad. That pass, and look, I am all for giving him a long leash in the offensive zone to take risks, to make plays with the puck, because he has such great vision. He's such a talented player. That pass he tried to thread across the ice to Owen Tippett, like, that's a stupid pass. That is a dumb pass to try to make. He tries to go across basically 3 Dallas Stars. It's such a low percentage play. It obviously gets picked off, and then it sends them down the other way, going on a 3-on-1. They score. Those are the kinds of plays where, look, I don't care if you're Connor McDavid. You don't make that play. Like, you're not getting that pass through. And, look, he's a skilled player. He's going to make mistakes like that sometimes. He'll probably make fewer and fewer of them as he gets older. But it was a bad game. He played a bad game. It's a bummer because he played such a good game 2 nights ago, and you're thinking maybe he can build on that. He's a 20-year-old rookie. These are growing pains. I'm still not worried about Matvei Michkov, but I can say with honesty that this was one of the worst games I've seen him play this year. I truly believe that. He made bad decisions with the puck. He got knocked off the puck. He just wasn't effective. And then he also made actively poor plays that, sent the other team going the other direction.
Yeah, credited with 5 giveaways, and that's, listen, the way the NHL tracks giveaways and takeaways. He might have had 10, he might have had 1, but, like, that's a ton for one game. When there's a couple of guys with 2, and mostly 1 or 0. 5 is a whole lot, especially when it's being scored at home. The headline tonight, they sucked. I don't know if there's much else to even talk to you about, Charlie. Do you have anything that you saw in this game that you think is, like, important to mention before we get to 3 stars?
Not really. The fans did not hesitate to express their displeasure. No. John Tortorella straight up said, like, look, I'm paying attention to my team. We didn't play well. Morgan Frost actually brought it up unprompted, so it clearly bothered the players. He said, it's not fun, hearing the fans boo, but, we weren't playing well, so I get it. But when a player brings it up unprompted, you can tell it bothered him. It wasn't like somebody asked, so what did it feel like to have fans boo you? And then he's like, then the player will just come up with some cliched answer. The fact that Frost brought it up on his own, it was clearly a topic of conversation on the bench and in the locker room. And quite frankly, and I'm not like you after the bad years where you're like, yeah, get Tortorella in there to make them miserable. But honestly, this was the kind of game where, like, yeah, you deserve to get booed. You played real bad. It was a big night for the fans. Some fans were here to celebrate at Snider. And you laid an egg. And I don't think it's that the fans hate the Flyers. It's that they hate it the way they played tonight. They played a lifeless game, and they got booed because they deserve to get booed. That's Philadelphia.
The fans hate spending hundreds of dollars to watch a game that the final score could have been 10. For 40 minutes, the Flyers did not play hockey. They had every right to boo that effort tonight. They've played well and lost recently. That is so far from what happened tonight. The boos were a fraction of what they deserved for that effort, but maybe it's a one-off like Charlie thinks it could be, or maybe it's going the other way. We'll just have to wait and see. So without further ado, it is time for Charlie O'Connor's 3 stars of the game. Chuck, good luck with this one. Hit us with star number 3.
Yeah, I mean, this will be pretty quick because there are no Flyers in this list. I actually thought about putting Ersson on there to make a point because it's like, hey, this wasn't his fault. But it's not like he played amazing. He just didn't play.
He just didn't suck.
He wasn't his fault that the team let him down. 3rd star, I'll give it to Maverick Bourque. He scores that opening goal, and that really was the turning point of the game. That was, in retrospect, the moment when we all should have realized, they just don't got it tonight. They're just not playing well. He scores that opening goal, and Dallas pretty much carried the play from there, so he's 3rd star.
All right, time for star number 2.
Star number 2, Miro Heiskanen. Man, he's good. He's so freaking good. He gets the empty net goal. Like, obviously, it's a nice little distant shot, whatever. But you watch him play, and he just controls the game so well. It's a joy to watch him. Like, he's probably one of my favorite players to watch in the league, just in terms of the subtleties of his game, the way he moves the puck, the way he thinks the game, his positioning. Like, he is just such a detail-oriented player. He gets the goal on the empty netter, but I thought he was one of the, if not the best player on the ice in this game. Easy choice for 2nd star. Yeah,
the last couple of years, he started to put up bigger offensive numbers. He's not Quinn Hughes or Cale Makar in that way, but you're starting to see that argument, hey, we need 2 different defenseman awards, and I feel like he's a big part of it. Points have been hard to come by for him this year. Dallas not quite having the big offensive years that maybe you expect out of a cup contender, but he is, when you talk about killing plays, he does it. When controlling the pace, he's really freaking good. And that shot was dope. That was a hell of a goal.
Yeah, we're just I'm not even mad. I'm impressed.
That was a pretty impressive empty netter. All right, Chuck, star number 1.
Yeah, star number 1, I guess I'll go with Rupe Hintz. He's another really good player. He gets a goal, strong underlying metrics. This is just a really good team. Yeah. Maybe this is the game that we should have gotten between these 2 teams last year when the Flyers, just for whatever reason, decided they were going to look like a cup contender for one night and blew the doors off the Stars. This is kind of what I expected going into that game last year, and this is the game I expected in 2024. Dallas is real good, man, and the Flyers are the Flyers, and Rupe Hintz is a real good player, and
the Flyers are the Flyers.
He would easily be the best center on the Flyers. It wouldn't even be a contest. First star of the game, Rupe Hintz.
How far down their depth chart would we have to go? Never mind. All right, Charlie, thank you very much for joining us. Chuck, we will hang out at the on Saturday in the suite for the takeover. So everyone who's coming out, get ready to hang out with me and Charlie and Kelly. It's going to be a great time. I will see you then, my friend.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, guys.
We all silly like the mayor.